All right, welcome to another video by Lame Creations, Log Analysis Made Easy on IT Service Intelligence. We've talked about how to build our own KPIs, build our own services in this video playlist, but now we're going to actually discuss using already pre-built templates for us so we can actually put together KPIs. And this is where I actually learned how to do a lot of my KPIs is I downloaded stuff from Splunk that they had already built for me, and I was able to see what they did and be able to gain ideas and insight, and that helped really propel my ability forward. So where you want to go is to Splunk base, and the app is called Splunk App for Content Packs. It's app 5391. There's your link right there. But you can type in Splunk App for Content Packs, get it. Download this. This app is a little different than a lot of the other apps. You cannot install it the normal way of going apps, manage, and install, because it contains multiple apps inside of it, and Splunk can't handle it. So you got to go. We went and we grabbed the documentation. You can see down here, there's a link to the documentation, and it makes it clear that you've got to go in on the backside. And so I'll go do that. I've already copied it over, so here's my Splunk app for content packs. I'm on my ITSI box. I'm going to stop Splunk. And for some reason I lost my connection, so we'll do it again. All right, clear. Splunk bin, Splunk stop. Sudo, bang, bang. All right, that'll stop Splunk. And we have to tar. Unfortunately, because it's a .spl file, we cannot tab complete. So we'll have to type the whole thing out and make sure we don't do errors on that. And then we'll copy it to our Splunk directory to Etsy apps. And so tar, sudo tar minus xvf Splunk. Let's go do a listing so I can see it. Okay. Oh, I actually don't have it over here yet. So we'll need to go copy it. Duplicate new window. Okay, I'm on here. SCP minus R, home Troy, downloads, Splunk app for content packs. 2. Should I put this to the right one? 43. Okay, 43. I don't want a screenshot. 43. Okay. All right, now it's copied over. Grab that, do an ls. There it is. All right, I can bring this back up if I need it. tar minus xvf. xvf Splunk app for content packs underscore 201.spl minus c to Splunk Etsy apps. And we need to go make sure we run this as sudo. Again, you should be running this as Splunk, but I'm doing bad on this dev environment. I'm just running as root, which is a horrible idea, but I'm doing it anyway. Start Splunk up. Let's go jump right back to the documentation while it's running. I'll show you the options you have. Come in here, you can actually look and see, get an overview. And these are going to give you, you could do an AWS. It'll build a service based on AWS, Microsoft Exchange, Microsoft 365, monitoring your Windows environment, monitoring your Linux environment. This one is what I'm going to focus on, monitoring Splunk as a service. It's going to take your Splunk infrastructure and build metrics and analytics and KPIs and services for Splunk. You'll get the entire gamut of Splunk. We only have ITSI, but we'll monitor ITSI. I won't go through all of them, but it'll give you the concept. And you got a bunch of other options. And basically, you're just going to go into these. If I go monitor Splunk to Splunk, it'll actually, I guess it won't take me to the video, but I can install those services, and we'll walk through doing that. All right, so now that I've got Splunk installing and restarting, one of the things that you cannot forget to do is down here after installation. You need to go to settings and do content pack for monitoring and alerting and run this search. And then you need to run this search. And the last one is, this one's not as important. It's just an annoying yellow flag that says when event logs can't find the event time when event logs DS. In order to fix that, you install the Splunk add-on for Microsoft Windows. I have no intention of using Windows logs on this system, at least not at this moment. So I don't want to put this app on there. I could just write, and I'll do that. I'll just put an event type in of my own called when event log-ds, and this alert will go away. But we need to do all three of these. These two you need to run so that Splunk, the content pack, will work right. This one is just to get the annoying little yellow alert to go away. And we'll show that. All right, has Splunk started? It has, so we'll log in. Log in here. All right, so if I come into search and reporting, which is just settings, search reports, I'm look for nobody. I can look and try to find content pack, or as I tend to do, I'll just go to all because I'm lazy. And I'm just going to grab this name, CPMA. Grab it, come over here, and just search for it. And there it is. And Splunk tells you what you need to do. You just need to enable and run. All right, so if I look at this, this is disabled. So we'll come in here, edit, enable. Are you sure you want to enable? Yes, I do. And then I'll hit run. And those lookups are now initialized. All right, then there's the next one it wants you to do. We get that through drop downs, lookup, migrate. So we'll go grab that. Enter. There it is, disabled, so we'll go enable it. Edit, enable, enable, and run. I don't know why we still get an error here. Doesn't matter. It works. It created this little piece there. So we're good to go. Now, I'm going to come in here. We can close this tab. We're going to go to searches and reportings. Let's go back to ITSI. And we're going to get this content pack enabled. It's under configuration. And data integration spot, standing there right in front of me. The very first option, data integrations. And so here's that. We want to get data in, or we can use the content library. I want to use the content library. Getting data in, you can monitor Linux, Unix, Splunk infrastructure, VMware, all this sort of stuff, and this will walk you through what you need to do that, but we don't need that. We're just going to go straight to content library, and I'm going to go look for, by the way, if you want to see some cool looking dashboards, this example glass tables will show you some really cool kind of glass table dashboards that you can put up in a NOC, Network Operations Center and stuff. I won't cover that right now, but monitoring Splunk as a service, that's what I want to do. I'm going to click it. Now it's going to just ask me some questions. In general rule, stay with the defaults. It's going to tell me, hey, this is what this is. You got a whole bunch of searches, some service templates, some services. Do you want to use those? And if you don't, you say back, or you press back here. I do, so I'm going to click the green proceed. Then it's going to say, hey, which of these objects do you want to install? Recommended, leave it alone. I would tell you, unless you have a reason for it, leave it alone. I'm going to install it as new. If this is a brand new instance, there's no reason to replace existing. If I already had this in place, then I could click the replace existing and it would use the latest versions. I could import as enabled. Is recommended you import. This means will your services start turned on? I would say no, and I again leave it alone. Add a prefix, no backfill services, sure. I'm good. There's nothing else to do, so I just come down here and say install selected. I'm going to hit install. It will tell me make a full backup. I don't have a real full backup here, but I will. Let me show you where that backup is. Really, really easy. Configuration, backup. And you can then create a backup right there on the fly. It'll create a little folder, little file, and you can say create job or create a restore job. And I give it a name. Oh, that's a create a restore job. I want to come here and actually download backup. If I hit download backup, it would build me a backup. Hit OK, I'll have it back up on my computer. Really, really easy way to back things up. I'm not going to back it up because I'm not really that concerned. This is a fresh install. It's on a on a ESXi. If there are any reason something blew up, I just restore my snapshot and start again. I've never had it break, but that's what I would do. I'm going to hit done, and we're done. Just like that, I am finished. I could install other content libraries, but I'm not going to. So now let's come in here and let's go look at our services. We have a whole bunch more services now, and a lot of them named Splunk. We can see Splunk ES metrics, deployment server, etc. And I'm going to come here. I'm going to turn on the Splunk app. Yep, I'm going to enable that. And see what's cool about that is I can actually, if I stay over here in Service Analyzer, I can actually watch as I turn these things on what starts to happen. And so I got my default analyzer here. I've got the ones from my video. Let's go back to here so we can see. And boom, all of a sudden, this is the entire Splunk service as built. So I got Splunk indexers that are based upon a whole bunch of metrics. I got my heavy forwarders, my Splunk forwarders, enterprise security, deployment server, indexers, license, management console, and searches. And these are based off of, like, for example, here's an indexer cluster, and they're made up of other metrics. We're going to work on ITSI. Like, I come to ITSI metrics. I've got KPIs running. Now they're not enabled yet, and we'll need to play with that for a minute. But for now, so I've got a nice little template here. And so now the key is to turn on the pieces that I want. I clearly want a full Splunk score. If I want these to go away, like, oh, I don't have Splunk Enterprise Security. Actually, I do, but for this demo, I don't. So I would come in here and I could go Splunk Enterprise Security. And everything related to enterprise security, I would knock out. I'd also want to take out ES, so I might go look for these two. So let's go and show that. I'm going to make ES go away. So I'm going to take enterprise security, and I need to delete. It isn't enough to just, oops, that was bad. Didn't mean to click it. It's not enough to have it disabled. If it's disabled, it's still going to show up here. I want to clean this list up, so enterprise security. Press enter. I'm going to come here, edit, and I'm going to delete it. Are you sure you want to delete it? I am. And I also want to grab those ES. So I'll just type ES. So ES metrics, we'll make that one go away, delete. I can always go back to my content and put them back in. Delete. Don't need that. Delete. When that's all said and done, now that those are gone, I can come over here to the default analyzer. I refresh the page, and that little family of Splunk Enterprise Security should be gone. Notice Splunk Enterprise Security is gone. So that's how you get rid of things. And so this is, as I said, this is a really good way of learning how things are interrelated, how they pop up on the analyzer, all that sort of stuff. And so it's got a nice little template. I like putting this on a brand new Splunk instance and just letting it run and learning how it works, because if you ever don't like it, you just restore the thing and put it back. No big deal. Okay, so we're going to focus on ITSI. So we need to make sure the Splunk app is enabled. So we need the Splunk service, the Splunk ITSI, and these three. These two will just turn on right now because they have no dependencies to them. What does that mean? If I click it, you'll notice no KPIs. How do I know that? Well, because I know the service very well. Splunk will have no services either. Where they get their service is from the content of everything down below them. So let's come in here, ITSI. And another way of reading that is, oh, look, ITSI metrics, not linked. And, well, okay, that's not quite the best way. But this ITSI will go enable it. Yep, I'm good. All right. Now, one of the things we need to do, we've got that enabled. Let's get ourselves an entity. Remember our entity discussion. Entities are the systems that we're, or processes or whatever that we're going to be monitoring. This requires an ITSI machine. So I've got to make sure that I have my ITSI machine in here. When it comes to Splunk, one of the easiest ways to do it is to grab all your internal logs and stats count by host. So you can create a service, you can do import from search. And so I'm actually going to, oh, I don't want a service, my bad. Okay, entities. Let's actually do that route. I'll show how I can pull back all of my Splunk hosts, which I should only have one. But I could do a create entity from a search. This makes your stuff dynamic when it comes to Splunk, because in theory, your ITSI should have access to all the internal logs of your other systems. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do an ad hoc search. I'm going to do index equals internal stats count by host. We don't even need to we can do last 15 minutes. I run that. There's my host. Boom. That is all I need. That looks good. I come in here. No services, no service dependencies, but I do have entities to be imported. And so we need to give it a host. Import column as host. We want to find the host value. Where am I missing that? Column name, import column as. I think we'll call it entity title. That'll work. I can give it anything I want here. We're going to put it as an entity type. Nope. In this case, it's just going to be an entity title. And then I could just import it that route. I'm going to go around and make sure I have everything working right. So I'm just going to manually put mine in. But that's how you do it. So let's do, I guess I'll do it here. Entity title, we're good. Entities to be imported. Yup. You could add other fields to it, but we're good there. Import. And see, this then set up a search. Okay, it's done. So if you click here, you can actually say, hey, I want a recurring search that just searches my inventory, searches my internal logs every so often, and it will create me new entities. I'm not going to set that up, but that's what I could do. So if I come over here, let's go to my entities, and let's go give it the right fields. And I can actually go read the documentation on how to run this content pack, but I'm just going to avoid that for now. Here's my ITSI instance. We're going to open this. Title. Host is ITSI. That's good. Add an alias. We'll add aliases in a minute. We're going to come into the services. We're going to go, the first thing we want to do is ITSI instance metrics. Cool, let's go grab that. We want to make sure that we've given it all the aliases it needs. And one of the ways to do that is read the documentation, or you can come over here to entities, and it's looking for a Splunk role that matches ITSI. Now the problem is it's called itself alias. It's actually supposed to be info. There is a bug in February 2024. They're supposed to be releasing a new version. I've been working with Splunk on this. In theory, they'll be fixing that, and we'll see it. I'm not going to change the alias. But I know it's supposed to be info. So for now, if I go in here to my entity management, and I'm going to come here as an info field, what we want to do is what was that called? Splunk role. I want to give it the Splunk role of ITSI. So I'm going to say Splunk role, ITSI. Save that. And you'll notice the reason I know this needs to be an info field. Uh-oh. What did I do wrong? Okay, that's good. Save it. Yes. There it is. Okay, it just took a minute. It knows, oh, these ITSI OS metrics, these belong to me. If these don't come back, you don't start getting anything here in the services, you know you've got the wrong thing. That'll almost be a dead giveaway there's a bug. If I flip this and I actually call this alias, which I can't have them both, it's going to tell me an error. Splunk role, and I give it this as ITSI. One, I'm going to get an error telling me you can't have them both. And so if I erase this and I hit save, I'm going to lose this service in a minute. Let's refresh. Okay, it flipped it. And so they basically, now I'm getting my ITSI instance metrics, but I'm not getting my other ones. And so we're going to flip this to, so you just need to make sure that they stay consistent. What we're going to find is this KPI wants the Splunk role to be ITSI, but you notice I've now flipped services here. If I cancel this, now I have ITSI instances, but I didn't have the original OS metrics. And why is that? So if I click this, you'll notice that they put in KPI over here. This is info. This one is alias. And you can't have them both. You can't have an info and an alias with the same name. So you got to pick one or the other and you got to adjust them. It's just a bug. It is what it is. You deal with it. If you download this later, after February 2024, it may not be a problem anymore. But you just want to check that. That's just one of those things to check. And so I can come in here. I'm going to come into ITSI and I'm going to make them all infos just to keep it easy. I'm going to go instead of alias, we're going to info, and I'm going to call it Splunk role ITSI, which by the way, this can be a comma separated value. So it could be search head, it could be a lot of different things if this machine is multiple stuff. And so you just want to be aware of that. You can put a key value, multi-value pair by just putting a comma. I didn't realize that till recently. That would have saved me so much effort when I was trying to get all these things in here and get them assigned the right roles. All right, so we got ITSI instant metrics, but we also want, so I got the instance metric, fine. Which is interesting. I think that's, I thought I had that flipped. Did I make you an alias? No, you're an info field. Okay, so I just need to do a refresh. I love when this doesn't quite, there it is. All right, ITSI OS metrics. But now we flip this to an info metric. It's going to tell me, oh, you can't do that. And I've tried, we've talked about removing some of these. What I found is easiest, just to blow that away, add a new set, call it the info, Splunk roles. Sorry, I know this was supposed to be about making things easy, but it really is easy. You just, unfortunately, this doesn't have everything working right out of the box. And it's not Splunk roles, it's Splunk role. Notice how important it is that you spell things correctly. Now it matched. It's got the alias, it's got the info, entity types. We are good. We want to hit save. I'm not going to enable. I'm just going to run save. That's going to update this KPI. Sorry, this is a service. And if everything goes right, then I come back to entity management. I refresh this, and I should have more than one service associated with this entity. Look, now I got the Splunk ITSI instance metrics and the Splunk ITSI OS metrics. That's cool. Am I missing one other? Well, according to this little document, there's also, so we got the ITSI instance, ITSI OS, but we're missing ITSI metrics. So why is that one not showing up? And so we can go look here, ITSI metrics, and we'll go open this up, open link a new tab, and let's see what it's looking for KPIs. Entities. So at this moment, it doesn't use any. So in theory, this should just work. So we'll come back to it. But that's why you're not seeing in the entity piece any of the, it doesn't show up here. These services will only show up if the services have entities mapped to them. And there's reasons you want to have mapped. Let me go back to why you want to do this. Notice I got this ITSI metrics. Clearly, I want to only look at my internal logs related to ITSI. We also have indexers. We're going to see some very similar. Oh, OS metrics. If I look at them, they're going to discuss CPU, CPU disk use, disk utilization. I come over to ITSI OS metrics. Guess what it is? CPU. It's going to be the exact same KPIs. But you don't want to double count them. These are going to be my ITSI instances. So I use those entities, and it's only going to run those services against these machines that match. In this case, it'll run against everything. In this case, it'll only run these OS metrics on machines, entities that have the Splunk role of ITSI. And so that's how it chooses to, that's how you can get these KPIs and services to be very similar and yet be specific to that particular service. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get that going. So let's validate that these work. ITSI metrics, we don't need to worry about that. Here, info, this should work. Refresh. There it is. All right, so now we know it's there. We're going to get the OS metrics up and running. I can go and grab CPU cores. If I hit search, and we can see how the query works. But in theory, we should be able to just come right down here to thresholding, and I should and there's values. All right, this thing's working. You can check your other KPIs, but in theory, they all work. And all I had to do was just make sure that my entities matched. And now I have all these KPIs up and running. And so we're good. I'm going to come back to my service. This was Splunk ITSI OS metrics, and let's enable it. Enable. It would help if I click the right one, ITSI OS metrics. Enabled. Okay, let's go back to this one here that doesn't have anything. Because it's got no hosts, in theory, it should just work. So we can come in here and we can go thresholding. And what do you know? There you go. It is actually got numbers. We could do KPI counts. Who knows if you'll have everything. Waiting for data. There it is. There's your stuff. Indexed events. I know there's going to be ITSI apps. Nope, not here. Internal searches failed. Indexed events. Let's look at that. But we know they're all coming back with data. So sweet. So I just need, since that's already working, I'll enable that one too. Splunk ITSI metrics, enable. And then this ITSI instance metrics. So I'll close this. This is my OS, close that. Instance, it's working here. Now we come to the KPIs. Let's see if it's working. So I'm going to look at installed apps, thresholding, no results found. Interesting. Why did you find no results? This should work. Um, my guess is, let's see, everything's good there. Let's just go enable it just to go find out what happens. I'm going to enable it. I wonder if it's just because it hasn't been enabled and it had that bad thing to begin with, if it's not going to just being a little weird. So we're just going to come in here, close this. Let's reopen ITSI instance metrics. And again, I'm hoping this will work for you. I'm not going to spend a ton of time troubleshooting this tonight because I got most of them working. I got you the idea of how they work and how you can play around with them and have yourself a full set of data. But if I come in here, entity, Splunk role, it identifies it, it catches it. We're all good there. I can run the KPI, go to installed apps. And one of the things I can always do is I can come in here and hit edit, generate the search, run and search. Should get at least 3 values. And I do, and it catches my ITSI, so it's working. This is a good indication you should have 3. If the entity isn't working, you're going to get 2. You'll get just these 2. But because it is working, and see there's my alert value, and there's my title, I should see my machine in there. This should be working. That's, anyway. So if I go finish this, no, we won't save anything, cancel, and I come down to thresholding. I have no idea why. Per entity thresholds. Not sure why that's not displaying anything, but it should be. We'll come back to what matters is that it's here in my default analyzer. We'll refresh this page, and sometimes it's going to take a few minutes because these things only run every 5 minutes or so. And so not everything may have metrics at the moment. Assuming we get some messages here about backfill. Nothing to worry about here. And we can see, not sure why you're being a punk, but ITS OS metrics, there's my stuff coming in. And you know what, this KPI might be, unfortunately, it could be miswritten or it hasn't got any data on it yet. We can all, these are disabled. And so you can go in and get them enabled, but you can play around with each of these KPIs and figure out what, how to work with them and what they're doing. I'm going to come in here, ITSI metrics, and we can see that there's some index lag, which is telling me that's a problem. Right now it's okay, but it has had lag, and you can see it right there. Most likely the lag occurred because it sped up a whole bunch of processes, and so it's trying to backfill. But you want to keep an eye on that, and that's how you're going to kind of see this little number. Right now it's healthy, but what hasn't always been healthy, it's got some stuff you want to look at. I can come look at this index lag, and it will tell me it was the ITSI summary index. What a surprise. It's exactly what I was saying. And it had a sudden spike there, and it took a little bit to ingest it all, and then things were good. Anyway, so that is Splunk there in a nutshell. I might come back and put another video on here what I found out was wrong with this. Not 100% sure why it's doing this to me. Um, I'm sure it's somewhere in the way this was written. Edit, Splunk role, ITSI. Should be fine. I don't know why it's doing that. Again, I'm not going to waste a ton of time trying to figure it out. Um, there is a bug. They're working on fixing these, but it gives you enough to work with. You could come in here from this default analyzer. I could actually go check my license server. So I'm hooked to a license server. So I just bring in my license server as an entity and document it all, change these appropriately. See, I already have the Splunk Management Console instance interface. These are Splunk search heads because this is technically a search head. So it's telling me how these machines are doing. So these things are all starting to light up, and I'm getting myself a nice, pretty impressive dashboard. Anyway, I hope that helps you move from being a lame analyst to a Splunk ninja. And this is ITSI content packs. They will help you build a lot of stuff and just playing around with it. It's nice to have something that's already done out of the box. You can see the linking and all these concepts that I've been talking about with ITSI. They're all been incorporated here, and they help reinforce. You go, oh, so that's how it's done. That's how it's done. Anyway, and so this is a nice little fun little thing to play with to get your instance up and running and get understanding of your Splunk environment while learning ITSI. Anyway, please, by all means, write down below anything you'd like me to present on in the future. I really encourage people to help me build this channel, that you join, become a member. Becoming a member of this channel will provide you with training courses that are not available to everyone else. You'll be able to see all the videos released at least a month to 2 months before they go live. I like to give lots of perks out, and just your joining as a member, it helps me be able to build this channel and buy the technology I need to be able to continue to pump these videos out and give you high quality products. Anyway, uh, please like and subscribe. I'd love it if you join my group, and comment down below or join my Discord if you have questions and you want to see other content. I look forward to coming back.